Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Watch how this white man schools one of his people, which is a white woman, because she said more black women terminate their pregnancies.
You're saying more black people get abortions.
Yes. So I looked
Okay,
at that.
why is that, white lady? White lady, why do more black people get abortions? Because abortions are based on what? Lack of access to resources. Because abortions disproportionately happen to impoverished people. Why are black people more impoverished than white people? Because of white supremacy. So thank you for pointing out that people that have been forced into poverty through systemic racism of the last 200 years are forced to abort their baby more because of the lack of resources to be able to raise a baby. And then you, as a white lady, use that as your talking point to take the health care away from those same women that are suffering in those same impoverished neighborhoods because you don't want to acknowledge the white supremacy behind it all. Go ahead.
Ooh, this is a loaded one. And the fact that it's one of the folks schooling one of his folks on this just makes it extra spicy. It's not about personal choices. It's about systemic conditions. And that's the thing that a lot of them don't understand. And this man hits the nail on the head. He hits the nail all the way on the head. Okay? From being undertreated for pain to not being believed during complications. And there are so many black women who have this exact same story. Okay. Black women are navigating a healthcare system that's operating off of white supremacist assumptions, right? Black maternal mortality is 3 times higher than white maternal mortality in the United States. So that's not biology, okay? It's not a bias. This is facts. The statistics speak for themselves, right? And then white supremacy in healthcare is quiet, but it's also deadly, okay? You know, it's not always in the form of slurs or outright discrimination, right? It shows up in their policies, in their clinical algorithms, if you will, that deprioritize Black patients in funding cuts, to clinics serving Black communities, right? So this, one of the folks is putting a spotlight on the invisible stuff most of the folks don't even see. And, you know, that's what it's all about, right? And then one of the folks also pushed the convo beyond moral panic. He's challenging his peer to care more about the conditions that lead to Black women terminating their pregnancies. And I love the way he kept saying, white lady. Why is that white lady? That was just everything. Okay. And he seemed quite genuine. Like, I don't feel like he was performative in the way that he was speaking, you know. And I always appreciate when one of the folks is the one that's going off on one of his folks. So they're hearing it from somebody that looks like them, right? So they're not just, you know, dismissing it. Because if it was one of us speaking, then of course they'll be like, oh, stop it. It doesn't exist. Systemic racism is over. Slavery is over. You stop it, stop it, stop it. That's what we would have been hearing. Okay. So when you hear somebody like this actually giving her the business and rendered her silent, that's what I like to see. And that's what we need to see more. Because as it relates in the healthcare system, we know this, we've heard this from healthcare professionals saying that even when they're in school and learning about, you know, treating patients, they are told that Black people have thick skin and Black people can take pain more, et cetera, et cetera. So the way that they come out of school even thinking that is the way that we're treated. Because our Black lives are just not as important, okay? So I really appreciate this man for saying what he said. You guys let me know what you all think about this.